By the end of the first full morning from Springville north to Dimmock, PA, we have seen within a few miles a drill pad leased for 7 to 8 horizontal wells currently being drilled vertically. We smelled our first well pad producing gas. The first time I heard the FLIR acronym was this same morning when our friend and NEPA Gas Truth tour guide said it standing in the road as he nodded at a giant, rumbling, offensively stinky compressor station lying off a neighborly bend. Later, I would understand FLIR to mean this high-tech, hard-to-get, super activist camera, which revealed gnarly yet grotesque night vision-esque images of VOCs, acetone, ethane, methane, and all other kinds of carcinogenic, neurotoxin air chunks spewing in infrared, something the olfactory part of us certainly couldn't deny. A few hours led to a few visions of clear-cutting pipeline construction endangering brown bats, or it exposed the Josh Fox made famous Carter residence, essentially on another producing well pad, on an otherwise pastoral setting, smelling like someone threw a shipment of candy wrappers in the fire. Finally, we stumble upon Julie and Craig Sautner's house. Anti-fracking and anti-Cabot signs ordain the prominent methane release valve on their doorstep like lawn ornaments. Our car pulled up to the family's water buffalo. Julie told us later she doesn't drink from that giant cow water bottle, which has replaced their well since an incident still in legal dispute with Cabot, who claims their operation was and is not responsible for the Sautner's well contamination, containing benzenes, methane, toluene, arsenic, and other scary carcinogens. Instead, she shares bottles of endless mountain pure artesian water, industry-owned and delivered every week, and according to the label, far below the reaches of surface and groundwater contamination. Unfortunately, unlike the Sautner's own well, an aquifer hidden on a hillside beyond their modest home. Needless to say, this first round of exposure to such intense militaristic industrialism left our little indie collective of inexperienced frack investigators with more questions than answers. And we weren't the only ones. Sitting in the hot driveway, sipping away at our courtesy endless mountain water in a bottle, Julie wonders out loud, anyone see that tank farm on Route 29 in Hunter Road? We had time before we needed to get back to our host house for dinner, and tank farm sounded weird enough. And sure enough, like she said, large, brightly red and blue, and some with words that read rain for rent, freight trailer-looking construction trucks were parked there. So we abruptly turned onto Hunter, just like real journalists, to get a better view. And beyond the many tanks, another well pad was carved into the wave-like hills. We approached carefully and curiously the Cabot-producing well with the miniature black smokestacks huffing and puffing away. What were these large silver silos that read brine doing sitting there next to the smokestacks? And why was one of these blue holding tanks sitting across from the brine silos? This was ethically awkward. We called the SRBC, whose number was on the well pad's marker sign at the edge of the setup. They said the brine water, which was associated with fracking, was stored to be recycled or sent to a water treatment facility. When asked what treatment facility, the gentleman on the phone just couldn't say. At this moment, a white, fresh water truck pulls up to the embankment next to the blue tank on the well pad. We hang up with the SRBC and run quickly to speak with the truck driver and ask why he's pumping water from that blue tank. He says he's spraying brine water to keep dust on the road down. Another question, brine water? Pointing to the brine silos within 100 feet of the blue tank pumping, I ask, this brine? The engine was roaring. He backs away, shaking his head. No, the township gives it to me. The spray smelled like salty sewer. We followed the truck and yelled out the car window to residents whenever possible. Do you know what they're spraying? One woman in a large SUV was appalled to find out that the truck driver had told us this. Another group of farmers insisted it was fresh water, which is exactly what Brody, the Cabot security guard, who led us to Cabot's charismatic PR rep Janice, said when we followed up on our story the next day.
Wondering, like, what?
No, it's not brine water.
Oh, it's not?
It's fresh water, and
Why?
it's for dust control.
Why does it say on the side,
Not potable water.
yeah.
It's not safe to drink.
Is that why it smells really, really bad when it's sprayed on the road? Yeah,
don't know.
he was telling us it was brine water.
He said brine, and then he said brine, and he said burrow.
Yeah, he said it was brine water, and then it came from the burrow.
So he did say burrow water, but
yeah, we're just curious. I don't know.
I just
You
got
don't
a
know?
phone call from my boss, and he told me that there was complaints, and then that's why I'm up here.
What is the complaint? About?
About water.
Oh, about water?
Yeah.
What kind of like, I'm just wondering, like,
Somebody was complaining that there was excess amount of truck traffic in the area, and so they were just. Are you recording?
No. I'm just holding my phone in case it rings.
And so
At this point, if we attempted to stop the car at, say, the tank farm or follow the spray of the fresh water truck, Brody was right there too, seriously encouraging us to speak with Janice. Apparently, she knew everything. Although Brody was hesitant, Janice was more than happy to sit down and give the gang a PowerPoint presentation about Calbit and oil gas. She was outspoken about disliking environmentalists.
I think it's unfortunate that the industry decided to call this type of well stimulation fracking, because fracking is too much fun of a word. Fracking gets blamed for everything and has nothing to do with anything.
But what I found most interesting was what she had to say about the blue tanks we observed on the well pad, providing water for our fresh water trucks.
Most of industry recycles 100% of their flowback.
Okay.
What that means, when we drill a well and fracture a well, we're putting a lot of water down there. When the water comes back, we see about 20% return right away. All that water is staged, which means it goes to one place, and then we like adjust the pH content, and then we mix it with more fresh water and use it for subsequent fracs. Okay? But we're also doing that with produced water, the water that comes off a well for the life of the well. Instead of taking this water to a treatment plant, it's going to one of our tank farms and then being mixed with fresh water and used in subsequent fracs. So we're recycling all of our water.
Question after question. If the blue tanks at the tank farm specifically for the recycling process, which the industry and she refers to as the closed loop system, closed, I'm assuming, implying not leaving the tanks unless to be fracked with, why was Brody saying it was fresh water when Janice claims it's a freshwater frack-related water mix? And more importantly, why was water from the blue tank at our site being used to spray onto the roads? This was how investigations are made. Sitting in a coolly air-conditioned office with comfortable chairs, having a civilized conversation, getting ready to get back out onto the road and see for ourselves at which Janice said was true. So far, our site didn't have the berm built around the brine tanks to reduce the leakage from the brine silo like Janice insisted was a practice religiously followed by the industry, showing pictures as proof. Well, I had my own pictures, and after what I saw, the hodgepodge of massive vehicles transporting mixed up industrial waste through back roads and neighborhoods only to be spraying it from misleading water trucks. We needed a sample. Then we learned about total dissolved solids and obtained that TDS meter that our friend and local buddy had purchased but didn't know how to use yet. Comparatively, our endless mountain water had far lower readings than the blue tank water, indicating water with high conductivity and unknown dissolved salts was being sprayed to keep the dust down day after day after day. And Janice's fun word fracking didn't turn out to be so fun, seeing all that water being extracted from our river, the Susquehanna River, and the venting dirty methane, as the workers call it, spewing and spewing like a chemical soup bath, and then flaring like an amusement park bic later. None of that can be seen from Janice's window, but the Carters see it and taste it and smell it and get sick from it, and so do the Saltners. They have signs that say Cabot contaminated their well and they should fix it. But what does fix mean at this point? This is a tragic, true example of irreversible damage in so many, too many ways. These costs should be alarming. This detriment to life should incite politicians to act nobly. We're new to this northeastern PA area, although not new to PA. This hop in the car drive north to find out about fracking created more unknowns. However, one thing was for certain. This thing called fracking was definitely happening, and the pulse of an oversized vacuum humming at the edge of our river is an insane feeling. Equally so, workers breathing dirty methane, brine on the roads, mismatched holding tanks just hanging out in the middle of mountains has suddenly become like inner city overseas ocean exporting reports on fire, and the only people watching are the ones willing to work for free.